Welcome to the Weber County Commission meeting. Today is, let's try that again. Thanks. Welcome to the Weber County Commission meeting. That's so the people online can hear. Today is Tuesday, the 16th of February, 10 o'clock. Seated to my right is Commissioner Scott Jenkins. Seated to my left is Commissioner Gage Farrar, and I'm Commissioner Harvey. We welcome you. Our Pledge of Allegiance today will be by Shelley Hallisey. We'll ask that she lead that. Our invocation will be given by our county recorder, surveyor, Leanne Kiltz. Our thought for the day will be given by Commissioner Scott Jenkins. Shelley?
Please rise and join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dear Heavenly Father, as we come to this meeting today, our commissioners, we're thankful for all thy many blessings, and we're thankful for the snow and the water which it brings to our county, and we're thankful for the faith that we have in each other, and we're thankful for our families and our friends. We're thankful for this opportunity and ask you to please bless and watch over us at this time as we make decisions concerning the people in our county, and we are very grateful for the opportunity in which we have to lead this county. We're thankful for the many veterans and that have served our country for the freedoms in which we have. Please let us never forget thy great love and what we're about. We say these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Commissioner?
So, Bill, can you hear me in this mic now? Okay. They were complaining that I need to speak into it more. So I'm going to try today. Well, two things today in my thought of the day. First of all, the gals up in our office, Shelley, you do really a good job. And she's had this jar up there with the Hershey Kisses in it for Valentine's Day. And you had to guess how many were in there. And everybody gets a chance. And then if you get the closest one gets the prize, right? And so I'm going to announce the prize today. The big winner today, this year, was out of the assessor's office. You know, those guys they count for funds, and they're really good when it comes to these numbers. Sure. And so the assessor's office, the winner this year was Melanie Litley. And her guess was 582 of them, and the actual amount was 584.
Wow.
So she was only 2 off.
Wow, that's amazing.
So that's pretty darn good. Melanie, congratulations to you if you're listening. If you're not, hopefully the word will get to her. And Shelley, thank you for doing that. It's just, you know, we don't spend much on this kind of stuff, and it adds a little zing to the floor and the office and the people around, and it just lets them know that we're doing things. Secondly, if you guys have noticed lately, the amount of people that are retiring out of here. You know, Scott Park come to us earlier this year and talked about offering a buyout and how it was going to save us $1.5 million. And we elected to do that. And I'm not saying that was a bad choice, because we will save the money. But, my gosh, we got some good people retiring out of here. We got a lot of them, and it was good for them, and I know, but I'm just telling you, I'm wondering now if we made the right choice, because we're losing a lot of institutional knowledge here that these folks have worked here for years and they're taking with them, and I'm going to miss some of these folks. They're really good people. And I realize that we are running this county like a business. So it was a really good business decision, like I say. And that savings that we're saving, it'll go on for several years. So it wasn't just a one-time savings. But in the meantime, I just want to thank all of those folks that have worked here so long. And today, on our agenda, there's 10 more. I think this is actually the biggest group we've ever had on the agenda, 10. We've had 6 and 7 and maybe even 8, but not 10. Anyway, we'll miss these folks, and they've done a really good job for the county over the years, and I want to thank them, and I'm sorry. That's the thought of the day. You hate to lose them. Good people. So, Commissioners, back to you.
Thank you. Okay, we're on, appreciate that. We're on item E, echo of our agenda today. Our public comments. For those items that are listed in F or G on our agenda, not respecting the public hearing, we'll have item H. But item F and G, if you have any public comments related to our agenda today, we welcome you to the mic now. Seeing none from the audience, Shelley, none online. We'll move on then, thank you. Item F, Commissioners, if you would, our consent items. Item F is a request for approval of, F1 is a request for approval of warrants 3533 through and including 3552 and 456, 674 through 456, 795 and 69 in the amount of $759,081.99. Item 2 is a request for approval of purchase orders in the amount of $71,729 and 7 cents. Item 3 is a request for approval of minutes for the meeting held on February 9th, 2021. Item 4 is a request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Lindsay Parkinson for a Weber State University Communications Department internship. Item 5 is a request from the Attorney's Office for approval to surplus a chair. Commissioner Jenkins, I know those are your favorite items. Commissioner 6 is a request from the USU Extension Service offices for approval to surplus office furniture. Item 7 is a request from the Sheriff's Office, Kiesel Facility, for approval of 20 office chairs. Item 8, request for approval of retirement agreements by and between Weber County and the following individuals. This is what you mentioned, aforementioned, Commissioner. Jeremy Rock, Scott Edgeland, Cody King, Jerem Hyde, Dustin Anthem, Chad Christensen, Garn Seaver, Matthew Jensen, Eric Fry, and David Parks. Commissioners, questions regarding any of the items on the consent calendar today? Go ahead, Shelley.
I just realized that there's a typo in number 7. It should be for approval to surplus 20 chairs.
Very good, thank you. We'll go to that because that makes sense. Those approvals would have been in items 1 or 2. So commissioners, make with that a request to surplus the 20 office chairs. On item 7. Thank you, Shelley. Commissioners, any questions or statements regarding any of these?
I do have one, Mr. Chair.
Please.
That attorney's chair, they want to surplus. It says right on there that it was serviceable, and attorneys are right here. I want to know why they don't service that. No, I don't care. I'm just giving them a hard time. You know, I give the sheriff's department a hard time about those chairs when they bought 100 plus here when I first started. And I'll never forget the sheriff, which was Terry Thompson, called me and said, Commissioner, he says, those people sit in those chairs for 8 hours. And he says, when they get up, somebody sits in that chair right behind them for 8 more hours. When they get up, somebody sits right behind them in that chair for another 8 hours. So he says, those chairs are set in for 24 hours a day for years. He says, 3 times longer than other chairs. And he says, they wear out pretty fast. So anyway, I'd relaxed after that because I thought that was a very good explanation of what happens to our chairs. They're used so much. So with that, Mr. Chair, I would be willing to make a motion, except you haven't gone to the... Okay.
Commissioner Farrar, anything?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Great. Lynn, welcome. Great to have you here.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Overview of the largest items. We had 143 warrants totaling $759,000. The largest of these, $385,000 or 51% were for the transfer station, covering hazardous waste and general disposal fees. $90,500 or 12% to the library for equipment maintenance, library books, and materials. For the purchase orders, the 10 items totaling $71,729. The largest of these were $22,500 or 31% to the sheriff for 9mm ammo, almost $22,000 or 31% to dispatch for CAD computer replacements, $10,000 or 14% to Golden Spike for food supplies, and $7,000 or 10% to Ogden Eccles for contracted labor and HVAC service calls. Everything else was less than 10%.
Thank you very much, Lynn. Commissioners, does that bring up any questions? Just one thing really quick. Mr. Wilkinson, since you're right there front and center, 5 and 6 years ago, if you'd come to the mic real quick, 5 and 6 years ago, how much was the transfer station losing a year?
Over $100,000 to $200,000.
And how much were they in the red?
Over $1 million.
So I want to just compliment, there was a big expense this time about hazardous waste and things, but I wanted to compliment the way you, Sean, and under your direction, Commissioner Jenkins, how the change of operation in business has gone at the transfer station. In the last 4 years, how much are we in the red now? We were over $1 million. What are we now?
We are not in the red.
I couldn't hear you.
And I don't want to speak for Scott Park, but we are not in the red.
Great. Are we losing money now at the transfer
We
station?
are not losing money. We have been in the black for the past several years, and things are going very well.
So is it safe to say then that the transfer station's being operated like a business, and now taxpayers aren't having to fund that out of their property tax?
That's correct. And it is an enterprise fund, so it's important that the transfer station generates its own income so it can pay for its own expenses.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Wilkinson.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any comments?
No, I'm
None
good.
being heard. I'd entertain a motion unless you
I
have
would
a
like
comment.
to make just one comment, and that is you didn't say anything about John Watson in that whole
Oh,
thing.
boy, that's perfect.
John Watson is the one who actually is on the ground out there and runs the transfer station, and he does a tremendous job. John is he's, principally for all intents and purposes, he's the one that's turned that around. And we've worked hard, tried to give him what he needed to do what he felt like he had to, and as a result, I just tip my hat to him. And, we probably won't have him out there more than a year or two longer, but I'm just telling you, done one tremendous job.
Commissioners, 5 and 6 years ago, I'd never go to our transfer station. The process out there was just antiquated and slow and hard and expensive, and it was hard for me. But I'll tell you, I'm there now at least once a week, getting rid of stuff, and the process is really smooth and nice, and the people do a great job out there. I didn't make our consent items all about the transfer station, but since that was such a large expense, those costs coming in to the transfer station or those costs going out on that particular case were already taken care of on the front side by the people who were getting rid of them. So that's the way it should be now. So great. Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion for the consent items, item F.
Motion to approve all the consent items.
Have a motion?
I'll second that.
Great. I'll place that motion for consideration. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. We'll now move on to item G like golf, our action items. Our first one with Cameron McCarty is a request for approval of the final reading of a Weber County the ordinance fee, which commissioners should be ordinance number 3, the amendment to the updated sheriff's office fees. Cameron, welcome.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Thank you. I don't have any updates for this ordinance report.
So it's a continuation of what was there. You're just,
These were presented, Commissioner,
Yep.
I think last week. or
yep.
the week
Oh, that's
before.
right.
Yeah,
No updates to report.
yeah. No changes since those.
Great.
When you're ready,
So this is
Mr.
the
Chair,
second hearing. Go ahead.
I would make a motion on the final reading. We heard actually this a week or two ago.
That's it.
To approve Weber County Fee Ordinance 3 amendments to update the Weber County Sheriff's Office fees.
Have a motion?
Second.
And a second. I'll place that motion for vote. All in favor? It's an ordinance, so it's sorry, Fatima, go ahead.
Commissioner Faur,
Aye.
Commissioner Jenkins.
Aye.
Chair Harvey.
Aye. Thank you, Fatima. Sorry about that. Great. Thank you, Cameron. Good luck to you. Cortland, our item 2 is a request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Laurie Shingle for transcription services. From our attorney's office, Cortland Erickson.
Thank you, Commissioners. The county occasionally has need to have a meeting or a hearing transcribed, typically for a court appeal. And so we went out and got bids from 3 qualified transcription service providers. The lowest bid came back from Laurie Shingle. And so what we have here today is a 3-year contract that locks in the price for those transcription services. And we present that to you for with a request for approval.
Very good, thank
Any
you.
questions?
Any questions for Mr. Erickson, commissioners?
No.
None being heard, I'll entertain a motion. This is in my portfolio, but so if one of you could help there.
I'd be glad to make that motion, Mr. Chair, that we approve the contract by and between Weber County and Laurie Shingles.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I'll call for that vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Erickson. Mr. Olson, item 3 is a request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Bingham Implement Company, Inc., to contract 2 tractors for 3 years in exchange for signage placement and facility sponsorship. I'm kind of excited about this one. Duncan, welcome.
Me too. It's Brigham Implement.
Brigham. Thank
so, last fall we were kind of ending with Stotts, and we got excited because Kubota was kind of wanting to be involved at the fair, and we were trying to do the same type of contract with them. Their corporate office wasn't really loving the idea of leasing us tractors for that cost. And so we were kind of rocking a hard spot, and Brigham Implement came to us and said that they would love to be a part of the Golden Spike in the fairgrounds. And so we worked out the deal where we're paying $500 per tractor for the year. That's in trade for some signage, some sponsorship opportunities at the fair, on the fairgrounds throughout the entire year. They'll rotate the tractors and keep those hours low so they can turn around and sell them. But they're super excited to be a part of it, and we're super excited to have them with us.
Great, thank you very much. This is a wonderful contract, and I appreciate you perpetuating these agreements. It makes it, commissioners, and so our operating expense are minimized at the fairgrounds. This is super great.
And this one we actually get 3 tractors, and so we have
Wow.
the one that we throw our tiller on to work the boxes and the alleyways. they have one for that as well. So we have 3 tractors, which is awesome.
Super. Commissioners, questions regarding the quack with Brigham Implement?
No, it sounds like a great idea. Appreciate it.
Great.
Good
Super.
business decision.
Thank you. Thank you, Duncan. Entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve the contract by and between Weber County and Brigham Implement Company to contract 2 tractors for 3 years in exchange for signage placement and facility sponsorship. Now, did you say 3 tractors?
Yeah, they actually
Do we need to change that to
threw
3?
a third one in. And so if we need to ratify that, we sure can.
Okay, so I'm going to amend my motion to have 3.
Yeah, and I'll just, I'll make that change on the contract, Fatima. So 3 tractors, 3 years in exchange for the signing and advertising. Great.
I'll
Motion?
second that.
And a second, great. I'll place that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you,
Thank
Duncan. Good job. Mr. Crockett, item 4 is a request for approval to ratify a contract by and between Weber County and Brian Cowan, who was appointed by the Board of Health to be the health director of the Weber Morgan Health Department. Mr. Crockett sits in council for the health department and is here today. Go ahead, Mr. Crockett.
Yes, with the upcoming retirement of Brian Benyon, who's been serving as the health director for the Weber Morgan Health Department, this Board of Health has met and interviewed candidates for his replacement, and they follow pursuant to state statute, and they have recommended that Brian Cowan be appointed to that position. Under state statute, since this is a multi-county health department, that appointment is subject to ratification by all participating counties. And so that's why it's coming before you, and it will also be presented before the Morgan County Commission. And so I present that to you for your consideration.
Very good. Commissioners, any questions? Commissioner Frohr, this is in your portfolio.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Chair. So I actually was involved with this process from the interviews forward. And there was, I believe, 5 or 6 of the Board of Health members that were on the interview committee. So this process was taken very seriously. I think we started out with 8 or 9 candidates, narrowed that down to 3, did additional 1-hour interviews with those 3 potential people, and Mr. Cowan was the one that was, I think, pretty much unanimously selected by that interview committee to serve as the new director. And so I feel confident that Mr. Cowan will be able to take the lead for the health department and move us forward as we go through some important issues in the next, especially the next 6 to 12 months. So with that, Mr. Chair, I'd be happy to make a motion.
Please.
So I would make the motion to approve, to approve and ratify a contract by and between Weber County and Brian Cowan, who was appointed by the Board of Health to be the health director of the Weber Morgan Health Department.
Have a motion.
I will second that motion with the comment I had a chance to sit down and interview Brian Cowan as well, and I'm supportive of this action.
Thank you very much. That makes 3 of us. Good evening. We look forward to his progressive leadership and support and sustain him. With that, Commissioners, I'll place that motion for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Crockett. Ms. Kiltz, we knew you'd have time at the mic today. That excites me so much. So much. I know this is one of your favorite things to do, and we'll just... Item number 5 is a request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and co-file to restore the recorder's deeds book. This is super great. Did you happen to bring one to show us?
I didn't.
We've seen them many times.
You've seen them.
Great. Thank you. Go ahead, Leanne.
No, this is the company we had to co-file back in 2018, come and assess our books, and this is just the final. We've been kind of breaking it off in bits and pieces, and this is just the final installment to be.
Pull that mic a little closer so we make sure we hear you. Thank you. Yes. So great. You know, I think, Commissioners, one of the great things that Weber County enjoys, and not all other counties, is our history of some of these records that have been recorded since property was property in Weber County. And you have some of those really old, 100-plus-year-old records. Yes, there's a lot of them. And they continue to upgrade those into a digital form. Oftentimes in presentations, we're able to compare what was recorded 100, 120 years ago and surveyed 100, 120 years ago. I've seen that many times, yep, versus as they go throughout history. It's been very helpful for us. Thank you for the job you do, Leanne. Commissioners, any questions for our county recorder, Leanne Kiltz? This was in her budget. It'd be great. So Leanne, with that, I'll place that. I'll entertain a motion.
I will make that motion, Mr. Chair, that we approve a contract between Weber County and co-file for the restoration of the recorder's deed books, especially knowing that it's going to be the last one. So this is good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great job. I'll second that.
Great. You have a motion and a second. I'll place that for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn our public meeting and convene a public hearing. Item H on our agenda, H1.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd move to adjourn our public meeting and convene as a public hearing.
A motion?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We are now in a public hearing. Public hearing. So we'll now hear item number H2. Mr. Perks? A public hearing to consider and take action on a request to vacate several public utility easements located on lots of the Uinta Highlands subdivisions number 6 and number 7. Mr. Perks, go ahead, please.
Good morning, Commissioners. The Planning Division received an application to vacate several public utility easements that are to the side and the rear of lots within Ryan Circle in the Uinta Highlands area. They're part of.
Make sure you speak right into that mic again,
You got me
please.
here?
Thank you.
Yeah, so those are subdivisions number 6, 7, and 8 of the Uinta Highlands. And the request was submitted by multiple applicants as a joint application. It includes the majority of that cul-de-sac minus Joby Shock, who is on the corner of Skyline and Ryan Circle. As you'll recall, he vacated his rear easement a couple of months ago through a very similar process. And so this is the rest of those residents kind of following the same process. What was requested again was a side and rear easements, and after review by our engineering department, as well as letters submitted by Rocky Mountain Power, Questar Gas, and Uinta Highlands Service District, staff recommends that we vacate some, but not all of the requested easements. The easements that are not recommended for vacation are those that back up against Comby Road, and also a couple of the side easements that have some stormwater infrastructure in those easements already. So we have prepared an ordinance to vacate those recommended by staff, should you choose as a commission, but we don't see that the vacation of these easements will impact the area or be detrimental to the public. Do you have any questions for me on that request and the staff recommendation?
Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Perks?
Just a follow-up question, if I might, Mr.
Please.
Chair. So on the ordinance is prepared, does it designate those that our engineer and Rocky Mountain Power, et cetera, were not willing to vacate?
It does. If you look at the ordinance, the attachment there, the exhibit to that ordinance, we do show the easements that are recommended for vacation. And those are the rear easements of lots 8, 9, and 10 of Uinta Highlands number 6. And then also the rear easements for lots 12, 13, and 14 of Uinta Highlands number 7. The rest of the lots, so 15, 16, 17, 18 of Uinta Highlands number 7, lot number 20 of Uinta Highlands number 8, and then lot 11 of Uinta Highlands number 6 have easements that are not recommended for vacation.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep.
Commissioner Jenkins, any comments? None. Okay, appreciate that. Very good. Anything else, Mr. Perks?
That's it, unless you have questions for me.
Thank you. No, we now move to item number 3, our public comments. We have a couple of landowners in that subdivision. We'd ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. Would either of the two of you like to speak to this? Mr. Waterfall, welcome. If you'll state your name and your address for the record, please.
Thank you, Commissioner Harvey. I'm Scott Waterfall. I live at 2060 Ryan Circle in Weber County, and I filed the petition for myself and other members of the community along Ryan Circle for the vacation of that easement. You might recall it was the end of September last when I appeared on behalf of Joby Shock, who petitioned, and the commission granted his petition to release the rear public utility easement on his property. And I inquired about, well, we've all got it and we're all using it. Can't we get this cleaned up? And I was referred to the staff. Mr. Grover indicated that when the subdivision was filed 28 years ago, that was a requirement to designate a public utility easement, but they don't do that now. And he informed me of the process, and in meeting with Scott Perks, who's been very professional, he told me what the process was. And he said, if you want to speed it along, contact the major utilities, the water, the gas, and the power, and they'll submit letters. We'll get this done at the commission meeting. In October, I contacted each of the utilities. The gas company was forthcoming promptly with releases of all their claims. The water company as well. Nothing from Rocky Mountain Power. I petitioned them again. I made phone calls. I sent emails. Went on for 3 or 4 months. All the time waiting to file my petition and pay the $650 fee. Still got nothing from Rocky Mountain Power definitive. Filed the petition. And then immediately Rocky Mountain says, well, we're going to release on some and release on the others. I got that letter at the same time you got the letter. So I've asked why they're objecting to the ones along Comby Road, and haven't got an answer. The bottom line is, it's been 28 years. there's been a new road, Skyline Drive, that's gone in. All of those lots are serviced by utilities, all the utilities through the public road, Bryan Circle. Rocky Mountain Power uses Comby Road for power lines now. They're not utilizing the rear easements at all, nor can I see that they ever will because of the topography of the land. It's a steep drop off. Those private public utility easements on the private property are just not going to be utilized because of the way the topography of the land is. They haven't used them for 28 years. They're running power, they're running gas, they're running water through Comby Road, through Ryan Circle, and now through Skyline Drive. There is no foreseeable need for those public utility easements to continue. They've not been utilized in 28 years. There's no conceivable, rational basis for continuing them. We're private property owners. We pay taxes on those properties. We'd like to be utilizing them legally. Many of the homeowners already have sheds there, pool decks, gazebos, fire pits within those easements. They're not going to be used. We'd like to be legal. We'd like to have the security of using the ground that we pay for. And that's why I'm here, is to simply make that petition and request some equity here. I find it interesting that on page 2 of the staff report to Weber County, under the Weber County Engineering Department analysis, numbers 3 and 4, the public utility and drainage easements along the rear lots of 8 through 15 can be vacated. And number 4, the public utility and drainage easements along the east lot lines of 11 can be vacated. So the engineering is saying release those, but yet the proposal and the ordinance that was drafted doesn't include those. In fact, says we're not going to release them. And that's simply a rubber stamp of what Rocky Mountain Power did with their 11th hour letter. I don't know if Rocky Mountain has it in for me or what the deal is, but I'm just troubled that staff is recommending one thing that's different than the engineering department, and still there's no compelling reason to keep any of those easements in place.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Waterfall, commissioners? Any others like to speak to this matter? Very good. I'll entertain a request for a motion to adjourn our public hearing and reconvene the public meeting.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. I'll place that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion, great. That motion carries. We're now back into a public hearing. Thank you very much for this participation. Before we take action on this public hearing, Mr. Perks, I have a couple of questions for you if you'd come back up. Mr. Perks, when you made the presentation to me in preparation for the commission meeting, our conversations lent themselves to my not knowing if Rocky Mountain Power could service those lots that were recorded but were not yet built upon.
Are we talking about the ones next to Skyline Drive and Comby Road?
It would be one that abuts Skyline Drive, and I'm going to go all off of memory here. No maps in front of me.
Sure.
Yeah, I know right where that is.
So Mr. Waterfall was correct. Our engineering department was comfortable with vacating the easements to the side and rear of Lot 11, which is Mr. Waterfall's lot. However, Rocky Mountain Power differed in that opinion, where those adjacent undeveloped parcels could potentially use those easements. They were hesitant to release them at this time. So that's the difference in staff's recommendation versus our engineering and then Rocky Mountain Power's recommendation.
So can you confirm or deny if the power, Rick, maybe this is a question for you. Can you confirm or deny if Rocky Mountain Power is running along Comby Road to the intersection of Comby and Skyline?
There are currently power lines that run along Comby Road.
Thank you. Knew that. I just wanted to make sure great. Thank you.
Yep.
Super. And then I'd like to also address that was reported about the engineer study with regards to to do away with the those stormwater easements.
That's right. So there is some stormwater infrastructure that run through the center, or not the center, but adjacent to lots 12 and 13 and 17 and 18. So those are side lot easements that infrastructure runs through. And so those ones we do not recommend, as far as engineering staff here at the county, to vacate those easements. And so the ordinance does not vacate those as currently drafted.
Very good. I can see that would be I can see where that makes sense, but I don't understand the Rocky Mountain Power ones at all. If you've got power to the lot, in the 30-something years I've been doing building, that's what you need. They can access it from anywhere. Commissioners, any comments before we take a motion on this?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, so I understand the issue here. I've looked at the plats. I understand Mr. Waterfall's concern. At the same time, I'm hesitant to take action that would supersede one of our quasi-public utilities if they're not willing to grant that vacating of the easement. Hesitant, maybe they have something in their plan. So my opinion is that this commission has the best interest of future development and working with our community partners, i.e. Rocky Mountain Power, that we need to be aware of their decision. If any property owner has concerns, then my opinion would be they go back to Rocky Mountain Power or the utility and come to terms with that and then come back to this body. So that'd be my opinion.
Very good. Commissioner Jenkins, any comment? No. Great. We've heard anything else, Mr. Perks?
Nope.
I'll entertain a motion with regards to the action on the public hearing. Item number 5.
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve the vacating the several public utility easements located on lots of the Uinta Highlands subdivisions number 6 and 7 as presented in the staff recommendation and in the ordinance they prepared.
Have a motion?
That's ordinance number 4, and I would.
Ordinance 4.
And I would second that.
Okay, is there any other discussion?
Sorry to interrupt, but I haven't had a chance to contact the utility and get a response. My concern is if we come back to the drawing board, it's another $650 filing fee. And I would hope that maybe you give me some time to at least pursue that with Rocky Mountain Power and see if there is some meaningful compromise or resolution before acting as been proposed.
Very good. Commissioner Farrar, would you amend your motion, or you want to keep where you at?
No, I think I'm staying where I am. I don't think it's our responsibility as a county to deal with Rocky Mountain.
I agree with that. And as far as your filing fee, if you can get together with Rocky Mountain and figure that out, I don't suspect we'll charge you another filing fee. Yeah. You can go ahead and just send that through.
And Mr. Chair, I would also agree to that decision that if the fee comes through again, or if the proposal comes through again, that the second fee be waived.
Great. Okay. Thank you. I'll place that motion for vote. It is a ordinance, and so Fatima?
Commissioner Farrar?
Aye.
Commissioner Jenkins?
Aye.
Chair Harvey?
Nay. Thank you. Commissioner comments?
I think I'm good.
Nope. None being heard. Very good. Motion to item number J.
Move to adjourn.
I'll second that motion. We're adjourned.